So Richard Dawkins is probably the world's most well-known atheist. And, when I first started getting into politics and thinking about various issues, I was really interested in his books. I read The God Delusion. I love that book. It made me an agnostic atheist, I think it's fair to call me. And I don't know. He's a good writer. I liked his book more than I liked Christopher Hitchens' book. What was that called? God is Not Great was his book. I liked his book more than that. And I liked Richard Dawkins' book, The God Delusion, more than Sam Harris's books, which I also read at the time. Like, the era of the new atheists where it was Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, Daniel Dennett, like they all came up at the same time and they all had their books. And it was sort of like a very vocal and aggressive atheist contingent that came out in the wake of 9/11, but to be fair to them, especially with people like Dawkins, it wasn't just about Islam. It was also about, George W. Bush era conservatism and the attack on gay marriage and the attack on reproductive rights. And so it was something that was very appealing to me at the time. Well, this clip, which you're about to see here, went kind of viral the other day. He's doing an interview, and he said some things that raised some eyebrows because of how he's positioning himself now in the year 2024. So let's watch and we'll break it down.
Well, I must say I was slightly horrified to hear that Ramadan is being promoted instead. I do think that we are culturally a Christian country.
He's talking about the UK.
Call myself a cultural Christian. I'm not a believer. But there's a distinction between being a believing Christian and being a cultural Christian.
The reason why that's confusing to me is that when you look at the way the UK is in 2024, the way the US is in 2024, all the things that are nominally Christian, right? Easter, Christmas, they're not really about Christianity. I mean, with Christmas, you show me in the Bible where there's a fat guy in a red suit and a big white beard who hands out gifts everywhere. I mean, it's about consumerism. It's about materialism. And it's about the mix with the pagan ritual. And again, the fat guy in the red suit with the beard. None of that is biblical. None of that is really Jesus-based. It's become its own thing. It's taken on a life of its own. Again, the irony of giving out gifts as if like Jesus was a materialist and a consumerist. Like, it's not true at all. It's not remotely what Jesus is about, what Christianity is about. So it's taken on a life of its own. Easter. I don't know, man. You show me in the Bible where there's the bunny and the colorful eggs and everybody eating chocolate and Sour Patch Kids and doing an Easter egg hunt. Like, it's not a thing, right? So even Easter has become taken on a life of its own. It's a very, new thing. So when you say I'm a cultural Christian, what do you mean? You like the Easter egg hunt on Easter? You like the Christmas carols? You like the Christmas trees, right? That's from a pagan ritual. So what does that mean? I'm a cultural Christian. I don't understand what that means. In the UK, a majority of the population is probably Christian. In the US, about 72% of the country is Christian. But nothing hinges much on that. It's not like all of them go to church. It's not like all of that is readily apparent every single day. We're our own unique American culture now, and the UK is its own unique UK culture. So to say I'm a cultural Christian, I don't know. It's just sort of like, you're the world's leading atheist. To kind of throw your lot in with a cultural version of a religion that you acknowledge has been deleterious and had many negative influences with all the, anti-abortion stuff, anti-reproductive rights stuff, anti-gay marriage stuff, strict gender roles for women. Like, it's sort of cuckish to be like, but I'll throw my lot in with them. Well, why? Why would you throw your lot in with them? He's about to kind of answer that. Let's watch.
I love hymns and Christmas carols, and I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. I feel that we are a Christian country in that sense. It's true that statistically the number of people who actually believe in Christianity is going down, and I'm happy with that. But I would not be happy if, for example, we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches. So I count myself a cultural Christian. I think it wouldn't matter if we substituted any alternative religion. That would be truly dreadful.
Well, which brings me to my supplementary point, which is that, as we know, church attendance is plummeting, but the erection of mosques across Europe, I think 6,000 are under construction.
So the reason I think he feels comfortable calling himself a cultural Christian is because he's setting this up as a dichotomy with, well, if I got to pick between Christianity and Islam, I'm going with Christianity. It's like, well, Richard, that's what we call a false dichotomy. I'm not a Christian. I was raised Catholic, but I'm not a Christian or a Catholic, and I'm not Muslim. But I'm not going to do a false dichotomy and have to pick between the two and then say, well, these ones are less bad, so I'm going with them. You know what it is? And this is why it gets under my skin. It's the clash of civilizations bullshit, right? And especially at a moment like right now, I don't have much tolerance for this, because as we speak, there's Palestinian babies being carpet bombed, right? Am I going to throw out some smug, glib thing about how I think Christians are morally superior at the time when the West is currently carpet bombing North Gaza into non-existence? There's something really dark about that, right? It's like in the midst of tremendous, very obvious pain and suffering among Palestinian Muslims, to be like, well, I'm a cultural Christian and I would rather throw my lot in with them. The other religions are truly dreadful players. So there's something about that that's just, it's not 2005. Let's chill with the clash of civilizations. That's like now a Netanyahu line, right? We're fighting Amalek, the forces of darkness versus the forces of light. It's just not now, dog. Don't do it. Don't at a time. We've never needed universalism more than right now. We've never needed humanitarianism more than now. And this sort of stuff is just more division along arbitrary lines, right? I'm a secular humanist. That's what I am. I'm in favor of everybody as long as they're not hurting anybody else. I'm absolutely against the fundamentalists and the extremists of every religion. But if you're not a fundamentalist and you're not an extremist and you're on team human, well, then I'm with you. And let's stop with these false dichotomies. And unfortunately, I think he's feeding into that. And so is this woman. To be fair, it's been more this woman now than him. But the whole cultural Christian thing is...
are being planned. So do you regard that as a problem? Do you think that matters?
Yes, I do, really. I mean, I have to choose my words carefully. I mean, if I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I choose Christianity every single time. I mean, it seems to me to be a fundamentally decent religion in a way that I think Islam is not.
I think you're going to have to explain why you say that, Professor Dawkins. Why is Islam fundamentally not decent like Christianity?
Yes, I mean, the way women are treated. I mean, Christianity is not great about that. It's had its problems with female vicars and female bishops and things. But there's an active hostility to women, which is promoted, I think, by the holy books of Islam. I'm not talking about individual Muslims, who, of course, are quite different. But the doctrines of Islam, the Hadith and the Quran, is fundamentally hostile to women, hostile to gays, and I find that I like to live in a culturally Christian country, although I do not believe a single word of the Christian faith.
I like to live in a culturally secular country. I like to live in a universalist country, in a humanitarian country, in one that doesn't judge people based on ethnicity, race, religion, all these things. It just judges people based on whoever they are, the content of their character. I know that's the cheesy Martin Luther King quote, but it's true. So I don't, world's leading atheist, make an argument for universalism. Make an argument for humanitarianism. Don't be like, yeah, I'll throw my lot in with the Christians because they're the least bad between them and the Muslims. And also, I'm saying this at the exact same time that Palestinian Muslims in Gaza are being fucking genocided. Could you imagine if this was during the actual Holocaust of the Jews in the 1940s, doing some sort of segment where I'm like, I'm actually culturally Christian. If I had to compare Christianity and Judaism, I'm going to pick Christianity every single time. Because, Judaism, they have some problems with the religion and the ideology. And that's not to blame all Jews, but it's just fundamentally not a decent religion in the same way that Christianity is a decent religion. Just change it from Christianity and Islam to Christianity and Judaism and put us back in 1940 and tell me if that sounds a little tone deaf. Tell me if that sounds a little bit needlessly divisive, right? Because I would certainly call that needlessly divisive. Again, you're the world's leading atheist. Make an argument for universalism. Make an argument for humanitarianism. Make an argument for people. You can and still and will make arguments against the fundamentalists and the extremists, as I do and all atheists and agnostics do. That's all fine and dandy. But when you phrase it like this, yeah, of course people are going to be cultural Christian. It just seems like now you're a little uncomfortable with the norms and the rise of culture amongst Muslims in the UK. And it's almost like you're running back to what makes you feel more comfortable with Christian culture. And again, it's sort of needlessly divisive. So I would make the argument for universalism and humanitarianism. And I wouldn't feed into this clash of civilization stuff, especially at the exact same time that the West is carpet bombing Palestinian babies into oblivion, and the world is sort of turning a blind eye to that. All right, guys, that's the show. I love y'all. You know the drill. Everybody please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Thank you to everybody who supports the show on Patreon. If you'd like to do that, that link's below. It helps out massively. Never had a conversation with an advertiser. You guys help fund the show from the ground up. I have to be incredibly thankful over that. I never want to talk to an advertiser, and you guys make that possible. You guys could also support the show on Substack, Crystal Kyle and Friends. That's below as well. You could tip on YouTube with the thanks button. And that's all I got for you, man. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.